And it's our birthright. It's all of our birthrights to bloom, however fragrantly we want to, but
Right.
we all deserve that. Whether or not we achieve it, that's a whole nother thing, but we deserve that. Everyone deserves this opportunity to blossom and bring themselves forth and say, you know what? I'm going to take up space here. I belong here.
Welcome to the new chapter of the Her Resources podcast. I'm your host, Linda Misegadis, and I'm so excited to be stepping into this next season with you solo. This podcast has always been about amplifying women's voices, exploring the challenges we face in HR, leadership, and life, and sharing the tools and inspiration we need to thrive. And now, I'm taking that mission even deeper. You'll hear real conversations with bold and authentic women, as well as reflections from me on everything from pay equity and burnout to confidence, leadership, and the messy, beautiful journey of growth. This is more than just a podcast. It's a community, a space for us to learn, lead, and lift each other up. Welcome to this new beginning. This is the Her Resources Podcast. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Her Resources Podcast, the show where we explore the stories, strategies, and heart behind women who lead, grow, and challenge the status quo. I'm your host, Linda Misegadis, and today's episode is one that truly speaks to the soul of our entire community. We are joined by a leader who has influenced countless people through her compassion, emotional intelligence, and unwavering belief in human potential. Claude Silver is the Chief Heart Officer at VaynerMedia and the author of the powerful new book, Be Yourself at Work, The Groundbreaking Power of Showing Up, Standing Out, and Leading from the Heart. Claude's message is simple, but it's so transformative. When we bring our full selves, our stories, our values, and our heart into the workplace, we don't just become better leaders, we become better humans. And in a world where so many women still feel pressure to conform, Claude reminds us that authenticity isn't a luxury, it's a strategy, and it's our greatest advantage. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and get ready for a conversation that will challenge you, encourage you, and remind you of your own power. Welcome to the show, Claude.
Oh, so great to be here, Linda. Thank you very, very much.
Oh, thank you. Hey, I just am kind of curious, what made you write this particular book? There's always something that happens, and I've listened to your audiobook and I've read your book, and I know the story a little bit, but could you share with our readers kind of what drew you to this?
Yeah, absolutely. Being in the working world for a very long time, I have shrunk. I myself have been in places where I didn't belong. I have also been in places where I have felt great and I felt like I could show up and wanted to be myself. And what was happening is in all these years that I've been working, I have also seen people shrink and shrivel and hide and be in shame. And all of these things that we know happen in the workplace. I wish they didn't, but that's another story. And it just got to the point where I said to myself, you know what, all I want to do is I want to make our workplaces more human. I want to bring humanity back into the workplaces, because we spend so much time there. We want to feel free, but yet we feel like we load up our backpack with all this stuff and then we enter the workday. And so what made me really write the book was, about 10 years ago, I told my boss, Gary Vaynerchuk, that I wanted to write a book. So I gave that to him because I knew he would hold me accountable. Other people or myself,
I love that.
Myself out of it. And COVID hit and I finally had some time to do it. And so when I was getting ready to do it and starting to think about what are the values I have? What are the principles I have? Why do I want to write? What do I want this book to do? I wanted this book to be my hand on your shoulder saying, you know what, you got this. And I got you. I'll be right here with you. And that's what I want everyone to do. That's what I want us all to do, to be able to ride with each other with empathy and compassion and all the, all the emotional intelligence that we know. And I want to make our workplaces a healthier and happier place.
I love that. Well, one of the things you described yourself as being a late bloomer. And so it's not like you set out on this journey early on to kind of do this. So talk a little bit about what you mean by being a late bloomer and how that maybe shaped why you feel the way that you do today.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Linda? I used to call myself an underdog. And I realized that that was painting myself into a negative light. That was not a
Yeah.
healthy name for myself, not a label. And I talk about labels are for soup cans.
Yes.
Well, I was like, that one doesn't really fit anymore, Claude. Yeah, that's not who you are. Actually, you're a late bloomer. And what that means, there are things that have come to me later in life. There are experiences I've had later in life. That doesn't mean I'm slow. That doesn't mean I'm fast. It means that it's just the way my life has unfolded and the journeys I've been on. I've always been on a very self-exploratory, self-awareness type of a journey, because that was really important to me early on to figure out, like, why was I like that? And why did I do these things? And why did I sabotage myself and that kind of stuff?
Right.
But fundamentally, I take great pride in being a late bloomer. There are trees that are late bloomers. There are plants that are late bloomers. And that's a great thing. It means you will still bloom.
Absolutely. I love that. I think that's such a really good point. And maybe that's a part of it too, is we give up on ourselves sometimes. We think that, well, I guess this is as good as it gets, or this is all, maybe we think that that's all we're capable of doing, or maybe that's all we deserve. Women, I think a lot of times find the deserve side of it, right? And so I really like the way that you frame that up, is that even though you might be a late bloomer, you're still going to bloom. And sometimes just takes a little extra love and care. So I
That's
think
right.
that's wonderful.
And it's our
Yeah.
birthright. It's all of our birthrights to bloom, however fragrantly we want to, but
Right.
we all deserve that. Whether or not we achieve it, that's a whole nother thing, but we deserve that. Everyone deserves this opportunity to blossom and bring themselves forth and say, you know what? I'm going to take up space here. I belong here.
Yeah, that's really good. Was there like maybe a pivotal moment or even a personal experience that kind of crystallized authenticity as your guiding philosophy? Because we hear authenticity thrown around a lot these days, and it's unfortunate because I think it's almost taken away a little bit from what authenticity truly means. But what was that moment for you, or that experience that kind of rooted you in that authenticity?
Well, I've had a few, I will say, throughout my lifetime. I think I worked in San Francisco, lived and worked in San Francisco for a long time. I came out as a lesbian. San Francisco was a wonderful place to be. It was
Yeah.
the place was very accepting and whatnot. We don't
Sure.
have to think twice about it. And I moved to London. I was transferred to London, and I realized there, and this isn't all Londoners, but I realized the climate I was in was not as accepting, and
Yeah.
in fact, it was more homophobic than not. And so I hid myself in some of those situations.
Mm.
I didn't, as a 40-year-old woman, I
Yeah.
hid myself, and
Wow.
I realized, oh man, this weight that you're carrying by doing that every single day is just harming you. Like
Absolutely.
it's just, and so that's when I thought to myself, you know what? What you see is what you get, and what you see is what you get isn't too bad. It's pretty good, right? Like it's pretty good. I'm a friendly person,
Yeah.
so,
Absolutely.
and I want to be in that type of atmosphere. When I joined VaynerMedia 11 and a half years ago, the first thing I noticed after, studying Gary in person was like, this is a
Right.
guy that is exactly who he is. Make no mistake. He wants to wear a baseball hat. He's going to curse. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. He's going to, drink water and, only like I felt, and I think we all feel so much more at home because we're with that type of leader and that type of culture. And so I
Yeah.
made a promise to myself that I am what you see is what you get. And of course, I will hopefully always be respectful with that and in that.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, so that's interesting as well because you have a very unusual title. I don't think I know of anybody else around the globe who has your title. So, how did your path really lead you to becoming that chief heart officer? Because you actually left VaynerMedia, right, and then came back. So it's not like it was a continuous journey in what you were doing.
So I joined VaynerMedia 11 and a half years ago. I was the first SVP that Gary hired, meaning really I was one of the oldest people. And I had a lot of work experience. The average age was 23. I was
Oh,
not
wow.
23. I was almost double that. And I was leading our biggest account at the time. And what came up to me loud and clear as I was sitting in client meetings is like, I just don't care if it's red, blue, purple. I don't care if it's cursive. Like I lost the love for that. I had a great
Yeah.
career, but I really cared about the people that got to the red, green, or orange. And so I went up to him around my first year anniversary and I said, I love it here. Thank you so much, but I
Mhm.
don't want to do advertising. And
Okay.
Gary said in his wonderful way, what do you want to do? And I said, I only care about the people here. I care about the heartbeat.
Yeah.
We came back to heartbeat, obviously. And he said, well, I need you for 18 more months. And he doesn't remember me saying, I'll give you 6, but I gave him
They
about,
never do.
I gave him about 9. I found my backfill. And then I actually went in and resigned. And
Wow.
he would tell you that as I was resigning, he was thinking of how can we bring her back, which was wonderful.
Sure.
And so 3 months later, we had breakfast. We sat down, and he just said, "That's it. You're coming back. You're chief heart officer." I didn't blink twice. It felt right. It felt like the
Yeah.
shoe fit my foot. And I think that there are many of us out there that have hearts to help and that want to create and hold space for people to figure it out.
Yeah. I
So
like that.
that's how we came to it. And in that breakfast meeting, I asked a couple questions. I said, "What are we doing here?" You know,
Yeah.
and he said, "We're building the single greatest human organization in the history of time." And aspirational, sign me up. I was
Yes.
part of that. I said, I never wanted to do HR. And he said, "Yep, I know. Well, you'll learn it and you'll hire a team around you and then you'll skedaddle," which is what we've done.
Yeah.
And then I said, "Of course, how do we know if I'm successful? There's no job description." And
Right.
he said the following, which continues to be the job description. "You will touch every single human being and infuse the agency with empathy."
Oh,
And so that's my
okay.
job description. And I have to figure out in every conversation how to do that, be that, scale that, have that exist in all of our other offices,
Yeah.
empowering other people to do that and wear that culture champion type of mask.
I have exciting news. The Her Resources podcast is opening sponsorships. If your brand supports women in HR and leadership, think talent, well being, learning, pay equity, coaching, productivity, or mission driven tech, this is your moment. Our listeners are decision makers and change makers who show up for real conversations and practical tools every week. We offer flexible options, pre-roll or mid-roll host reads, series sponsorships, and thought leadership integrations that highlight your story without the fluff. Ready to connect with a highly engaged audience and grow with us? Email contact@herresourcespodcast.com and put sponsorship in the subject line. I can't wait to collaborate. What a big role that is. But I would imagine that part of why perhaps you're able to be successful in that is because of Gary's leadership style and his willingness to, or maybe even, I don't know, does he, I'm guessing that that is pushed throughout the culture of the organization. Because I'm thinking that's a lot to try to accomplish to be able to push empathy through, because I'm guessing you have to work with communications and operations and all these different groups, and you got to kind of get them all on the same page, right? And heading in the same direction.
Yeah.
Wow. How do you do that?
Well, like you said, it's already in the water.
Okay.
It's in the water from Gary. And it is something that you can see as Gary V. He is like that on social and in real life. Gary Vaynerchuk is exactly what you see. Kindness, empathy, self-awareness. These are things that he's devoted to. And so that, because he's like that and he's blessed this role,
Mm-hmm.
like, second, his number two, there's a lot of air coverage I get from that.
Okay.
And this is something that we talk about in our conversations, whether or not they're in internal conversations with clients. We bring up kindness, we bring up transparency, we bring up emotional intelligence in many of our conversations because that's really what we're guided by. So it's the effort isn't. I don't sweat the effort. It's
Okay.
more that A, I'm not perfect. I
Mm-hmm.
I have
Sure.
moments, of course, and I would say, B, I'm not in all of these places that I don't speak the language. I don't speak Malaysian, so I have to really go by what I'm told by the people in that office or the people
Sure.
in that geography, how it's going. I want to make sure that everyone is having somewhat of a similar experience at VaynerMedia.
That makes a lot of sense. That must have been really frightening for you to, or maybe it wasn't, for you to approach and say, "I'm resigning." Did you have a plan? And like when you decided, you're
Oh,
like, "I'm leaving."
oh, my friend, I worked with a coach for about just to
Okay.
get up the nerve to not only resign, but to know what I wanted to do and what I didn't want to do.
Okay.
And so I knew I only wanted to work with people. And back in the day, I wanted to be a psychotherapist, so no surprise there. And I knew that I had to say no to anything shiny that came my way.
Okay.
So, like another job in advertising or leading this
Mhm.
global team or so forth and so on, that would be shiny at,
Right.
Spotify or wherever, but it wouldn't serve me. It wouldn't do what it is I feel like my purpose is, which is
Yeah.
to be of joyful service and to really be there for people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Why do you think that so many women struggle with being their authentic selves at work? Because I do think women more than any, and it's also not just being a woman, it could be the culture of women. It may be,
Oh yeah.
be based on your the color of your skin. There are all of these different factors that drive that for women. Why do you think we struggle so much?
Well, I think for a number of reasons, I think society has done a doozy on us. I think the media has done a doozy on us. I think we do struggle with imposter syndrome and are out about it. We talk
Yes,
about it,
yes,
which I think is very healthy. And I think that women care. I don't know what a man carries emotionally.
right.
We
Yep.
carry a lot of invisible weight, especially if
Mhm.
we have families, if we have children, if we're taking care of our elders, whatever it is. Maybe we're single parent, maybe we have to, make the rent, all of that. There's a lot of invisible weight that I think we carry. And I think there's also a stigma still that
Yeah.
women aren't the sharpest tool in the tool shed. I mean,
Yeah.
like it's 20 on the eve of 2026 and the 70s weren't that far.
No, no,
So,
it's true.
um anyway, I think it's a mixture of a lot of things. One of the things I've been seeing on LinkedIn lately that has been just heartbreaking is a few posts by women who have said when they needed to get an invoice paid, they have signed it, as
Yeah.
a man's name, and it's been paid, or their call has been returned.
Mm-hmm.
That is so. I don't even know the word. It's so not right. It's so not fair, and
Yeah.
we are. I mean, we're not prehistoric creatures anymore. We have brains.
Right.
We know right and wrong. One of the things I often think about when I'm in the office, and has nothing to do with male female necessarily, it's more generational, is when you leave a boardroom, you push in your chair. Maybe you
Right.
take your trash with you.
Mm-hmm.
You erase the whiteboard. These are things that you and I were taught to do.
Absolutely.
The younger generation hasn't been taught to do this, and so the
Mm-hmm.
chairs are in the middle of the hallway and this and that. And you're like,
Right.
is this how you are at home when you're at
Right.
your parents' house? Like, wow. So it's a little bit of a segue, but the feeling is we've come so far, and yet there are people out there that I don't think want to see us go any further.
Yeah, I think you're right. And one of the things that I have seen as well that I'm inspired by is it seems like so when I was coming up, women weren't necessarily overly supportive of one another either. And some of that I think came from a fear of if you got to the top, you didn't want to jeopardize anything. And so you weren't going to necessarily reach back and help your fellow sisters up. You kind of like moved into more of a male dominated environment at that point, and you protected what you felt like you worked really hard to get, which you did. But I think what I'm starting to see is there's a shift in that mindset around women supporting other women.
Yeah.
And it seems like there's a bit of a movement going on around that. Are you seeing something similar?
Yes, 1,000%. I mean, I see it a lot in LinkedIn, and I see it in these micro communities that I get
Mhm.
invited into, or I have with my friends and whatnot,
Yeah.
which is so wonderful. And I hear what you're saying, that, I think about that movie, Working Girl, with Melanie
Mhm.
Sigourney Weaver, and that was really dog eat dog. There was no help there.
Yeah.
And I know that was something that, the alpha woman and all of that stigma and
Mhm.
all of that stuff. But I definitely see a much warmer community, a more, I would say, inviting community, that accepts people based on who they are, not who they need to be or who they need to present themselves as, if that
Yeah,
makes sense. Like,
it does.
and I see in these communities a lot more diversity, which is a happy thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is so true. I'm really loving that as well because we all know that diversity of thought, it's not just, what you look like or where you came from, it's all of those pieces, but because of what you look like or where you came from, that's what brings that diversity of
Yeah.
thought, right? So you have all these different opinions, life lived, and experiences that you can bring in and really help one another.
Curiosity is like,
Yes.
that's what it's about. And I think as we, do a lot of hiring, obviously in recruiting, it's one of the things that we're always thinking about, in terms of, let me say, I changed the way we hired from culture fit, which is what we did in the beginning, to
Uh-huh.
skill set fit and culture addition. And the culture
Ah.
addition, I believe, even the phrasing allows us to dig into someone's curiosities and
Mhm.
their background. I remove the need for a college education. I don't want that to be a showstopper. But
Yeah,
literally, like, what kind of fresh new thinking are you going to bring in today? And that's what we want, and that is diversity of thought, and that is neurodivergent people, and that is people from all different walks of life. We need you. We need you.
absolutely.
Are you ready to take your podcast to the next level? Let LJM Productions help you sound your best. We specialize in podcast editing, production, audio restoration, and mixing, ensuring every episode is polished, professional, and ready to wow your audience. Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned podcaster, we'll handle the technical details so you can focus on sharing your voice. Partner with LJM Productions today and hear the difference.
Absolutely. Totally agree. You talk about the performative self versus the true self. Talk a little bit about that because I think that that ties to the authenticity side of it as well and women being able to show up. But talk about
Yeah.
what you mean by performative versus true.
Yeah. So performative is that mask that we put on that we think we need to put on to be successful. We think we need to put on to have our ideas listened to
Hmm.
get in front of the CEO, to whatever it is. Do we have to wear high heels? Do you like? Is that who you are, or is that what
Right.
you think you need to do? Because that's also what the magazines are showing.
So
So
true.
the media is so powerful, very, very powerful, and I believe that the media really, really spreads a lot of fear and anxiety out there. So the
I agree.
performative is, for example, if I'm not good at math and I'm not good at Excel, but if I had to fake it,
Hmm.
make you feel or see that like I'm okay, I can do this job, then I would be playing so far out of my comfort zone. It's going to be very difficult for me to keep that up.
Yes,
And so,
absolutely. Well, it's kind of that fake it till you make it kind of
yeah,
approach,
which
right? Yeah.
do we have to do that? Do we have to fake it till you make it? Like,
Yeah.
and I know wisdom comes as we age and we go through
Sure.
this. And so, for the younger folks listening to the podcast and for our daughters and our nieces and our grandchildren, like we want this to be a different world for them. We want them
Absolutely.
to not have to fight so hard to be seen and heard. And
Absolutely.
that's the authentic part. Who are you? Just tell me who you are. And,
Yeah.
I will say a lot of this younger generation, they will tell you. They will tell you, I have
That
ADHD,
is
I
true.
have this, I have that, I have this. And yet there still is, that fear that women are not getting paid as much as men. And I am.
Right. It's
So
true.
it's systemic. And I would like I would like us to join forces and figure out where the root is so we can pull
Mhm.
it out of the ground, plant something else for
Absolutely.
the generations to come. They deserve it. They really do.
Gosh, they so do. I always say, we never wanna play it off as if we haven't come far.
Yeah.
But, we haven't come far enough. It just to
Yeah.
your point, I was, looking back on some statistics a while ago, and it was like, it wasn't until, like, 1985 or something like that where women could even open a bank account without having their husband on it. You couldn't open businesses, you couldn't get a mortgage. Like, this is 1985, to your point,
But
like, that's not that many years ago that this stuff was still going on, so
that's not. Oh my gosh. I read even in Ireland up until like the 80s, women couldn't get jobs. They were supposed to be in the household.
isn't that crazy?
It's bonkers. It's bonkers. And we, not that I am a gifted historian, I'm not, but I've done enough reading of the Egyptians,
Yeah.
reading of, mythologies to know that it wasn't always like that.
No, no, absolutely not. Well, so, a lot of leaders think they're leading authentically, but I don't know that all of them are because, like I said, I think that's a bit of a buzzword these days with authenticity and leadership. So, what are the indicators that we're actually leading authentically?
Well, I would say vulnerability is a very big one. So a person feeling as though they can share bits of themselves, leaders,
Okay,
share bits of themselves. Again, I don't expect anyone to jump into the deep end, but
sure.
I'm having marital problems, or my kid is
Hmm.
diagnosed with, or my husband's in the hospital, whatever that is, or literally like, one of the things I say all the time when I'm with people is like, I'm highly dyslexic. Like it's a superpower now, but it was not a superpower
Yeah.
then. And if you are, we've got things for you.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
We'll
Yeah.
support. So that's I think the first thing I want to say, that vulnerability, but I also think it takes a leader to actively listen and read the room, be the person
Hmm.
that you want to work with. I mean, that's so important. Like, if I walked into the room with my hand in my phone, do you want to work with me? Do you think I have time for you or I care?
So true.
Not so
Yeah.
much. Not
Hmm.
so much. So a leader needs to be thinking about, listen, this is a big responsibility. I work for them. They don't work for
Right.
me.
Yeah.
And again, how do I want to show up? What is the experience I want to be giving people? What do I want? Who do I want to grow here? And
Yeah.
I do think that there are certainly leaders out there that are not of that mindset, that are,
Hmm.
listen, I'm the boss, and I'm also the
Yeah.
spokesperson in the room,
Right. Yeah.
and you're going to really do what I say, and that's that. And there's a lot of leaders like that that are ivory tower.
Absolutely.
But that I don't think that's going to survive with Gen Alpha, and I barely think,
Definitely not.
yeah, with Gen Z. But
Hmm.
so that I would love it if a leader went in one day and said, you know what? I realize that I haven't been bringing myself to work, and I have been
Hmm.
showing you someone that I think you needed to see, that I was some whiz kid and something, but I want
Yeah.
to belong in this culture just as much as I want you to belong.
I like that.
Let's,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
what I would love.
No, well, it's just bringing that level of raw honesty, and I think sometimes, like, that is, associated with weakness or, it kinda comes back to that, maybe masculine hierarchical approach to leadership where, because I remember when I was younger, like, you couldn't have a conversation with the CEO or even the president. It was like these titles were, like, somehow that move these people into a different,
Excellent. Yeah.
ecosystem or something, and it's like, how could you not have a conversation with these people? And so it was interesting then watching that, to your point on like Gen Z and these younger generations, they don't buy into the hierarchy. And if they want to talk to the CEO or the president, they're going to talk to them and they're not going to care that it looks like they're jumping ranks
Not
because
at all.
they're just going to go have a conversation, right?
Yeah. They know it's their birthright.
Yes, yes.
We have decided to follow these fictitious rules.
Yes, yes, yeah, that is so true. I like that, fictitious rules for sure. Your book includes practical tools. So, what are some practices that listeners can implement right away?
Yeah, and that's I'm really glad you pointed that out because that's what I wanted. I wanted, I'm
Yeah,
not a theorist. I'm in the weeds
right.
here every day doing this. So, the lie exercise is one that I think is extremely valuable and important, and that is really dismantling the imposter syndrome. And I'll just do a walkthrough here. It is.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's easy. It takes
right.
work, but it's not
Yes.
easy to do the steps I'm saying. But it is. I'm sorry, but it is pretty easy to follow along. So, what is that imposter? What is that imposter saying to you? I'm not good enough. I never make time for my family. I prioritize work. I'm dumb.
Mhm.
Whatever. We all have it. So we have to
Yes.
sit still for a second and say, what is that? What is that voice? And we all know it when we feel it. We probably have one, two, or three of them. So figure out the
That's
one
true.
that you want to go
Yeah,
after.
the most dominant one,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so what I suggest is you have a piece of paper or spreadsheet, two
Mhm,
columns. One is the negative talk track. I am dumb.
mhm.
Put that here on the left-hand side. And then what I want you to do is find all of the evidence that it is true that you are dumb. Try to
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
find it. Oh, well, you're employed. Okay. Well, you're a mathematician. Okay. Well, you have comment, whatever it is. Most likely, you're not going to find it. Right. So, okay. Well, in that column, I have no evidence. In this column, now we need to come up with the right type of truth. We
Okay.
want to take I am dumb out of your head, but we have to replace it with something very honest and something that's going to get you like jazzed. So
Yeah.
I'm a different kind of learner. I'm an experiential learner, something. It has to work for you. How do you know it works for you? You feel lighter.
Mm,
You
mhm.
have a smile. Okay, so I am We'll do one for me because I am dumb is one that I had for a very long time. My dyslexia is a superpower. I notice patterns very quickly, right?
Yes.
So we'll put that up there. My dyslexia is a superpower. And look, I am actually happier saying that.
Yes.
It's true.
Yeah.
What is the evidence there that is true? Okay, well, I've been working with Gary for the past 11 and a half years. Okay, well, definitely not dumb. Okay, there's something he sees there. I'm in
Right.
this role where I am participating with human behavior all day, so I find the evidence to why that is true, the positive
Mhm.
one. And then the work is you got to plaster that everywhere on your
Okay.
bedroom, on your phone, on your laptop, in your wallet, wherever, whatever is the new saying you are going to put in there because our minds are going to grab. So you have to then give yourself a mantra. My dyslexia is my superpower. My dyslexia is my superpower. My dyslexia is my. Anyway, so I write that in the book. That's the lie exercise, and then I give a lot of examples in case you're just like I don't know what I should put over here that lights me up.
Yeah.
So super important because it's a showstopper. That
Right.
limiting belief, that imposter syndrome, and there's really nothing anyone can do about it other than you.
So true.
People
Yeah.
say like,
Yeah.
"Oh my God, you're a great leader. You're so smart, whatever." But if you don't feel it,
Mhm. It is so true. No. Yeah, those positive affirmations from other people are nice, but you're right. If you don't believe it yourself and you're not doing the work, which I think is really kind of interesting as well, because you see that so much is that I think that sometimes we think, well, I'm going to pick up this book and I'm going to read it and I'm going to be different. I'm going to be changed and
oh yeah,
now suddenly everything is going to be better. And that's just not true because exactly what you said, you've got to be willing to put in the work. So you have some really amazing practices and tools in the book that people can follow. But it is important that just reading your book isn't going to be enough. If you really want to find it, you got to work at it.
you got to work on it. And I love that you said that because Linda, I was one of those people that would spend hours in the self-help section, hours,
Yeah.
and it was great reading in the moment,
Right.
but it didn't
Yeah.
last much longer than that. By the time I got to the car, I was
Right. Well, we see that with some of the books that have been around for a while, even like Angela Duckworth's book, Grit. That book
yeah,
is not a new book. That book's been around for a long time, but it suddenly surfaced as and then people started kind of applying the techniques
yeah.
and the approaches. And it's like, oh, okay, now I understand what the value of what she's trying to put out there. So it's really kind of fascinating to watch because I was similar. I would get all the self-help books, but and they were great reading, but that was to your exact point. That's as far as it went. So,
That's
yeah, no. You talk a little bit about heart check-ins. Tell our listeners what heart check-ins are.
Well, what I mean by a heart check-in is that's when I'm talking about really finding some stillness and
Okay.
understanding, not understanding, I should say, stillness and listening to what is going on. What does our heart need? What does it need right now? What is it saying? One of the things I asked my daughter, who you just saw a second ago,
Yeah.
when I can pick her up from school, is like, How does your heart feel?" And she'll say,
Oh,
"Happy." Which I love, or she'll say, "I
yeah.
don't know," or she'll say, "Sad," "That was mean," or whatever. We teach these skills at such early ages, and then
Yeah.
we forget. Life gets
It's true.
busy, and we decide that we should take on everything, especially women, take everything on and put
Yes.
ourselves to the wayside. So, it's literally listening to what your heart is saying. And one of the things, as I just said, that I really think is important to ask your heart is, what do you need right now?
I like
A
that.
hug? Do you need to talk to your best friend? Do you
Yeah.
need to surround yourself with music and flowers? What do you
Hmm.
need right now? That again is our responsibility,
Right.
and it's free.
Yeah. 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 That is really good. When I like what you said there too, because that's a part of that emotional intelligence side of it that we kind of lack in as well. Because, like, I think about it for myself, even is trying to figure out what emotion am I feeling. And I usually I know too. It's sometimes it's like either angry or or maybe I understand happiness. I don't know. And so, really, kind of thinking that those heart check-ins to say, what am I feeling right now? Is it joy? Is it sadness? Is it because generally it's not really angry? There's something else
No,
that's driving that. So yeah,
exactly. And as Susan David says in her book Emotional Agility, our emotions are telling us things. They're not
yeah,
who we are. You're not
right,
an
yeah,
angry person. That situation upset you.
yes,
You know what I
yes,
mean? You're not a
yeah,
sad person. It's just like, "That was sad. That was sad."
yeah,
That's not who I am. It's an
yes.
emotion I'm having, and I can work through that emotion.
Absolutely. No, I think that's a perfect way to kind of think about that reframing, right? And
Yes.
creating that so you are thinking about you're not making yourself that situation. So I think
Yeah.
that's really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, we need to be a little lighter on ourselves.
Yes, we do. Women are incredibly hard on ourselves.
Yep.
There's so much that we have to deal with, exactly to your point. What do you think happens when authenticity becomes more cultural and not just personal?
Oh, I love that question, my goodness. Well, I'll tell you, my hope is that we find people that we can relate to, and we find other
Yeah.
communities. We find like-minded, like whatever people, and so we don't feel so othered. We don't feel that we don't belong.
Yeah.
Maybe we will loosen this grip of, having marginalized communities. I mean, I don't know. I have a lot of hope for us
Yes.
humans, but I do think there's something really special when you can find others that you identify with. Don't have to look like them, don't have to talk like them,
Yeah.
but there's a similarity, commonality. It
Mm.
makes you feel less alone.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
think
that
that's
is
why
really good.
12-step support groups are really helpful for people and other
That's
support,
true.
like,
Yeah.
"Oh, wow, you felt that same way?" And
Yes,
you're
because so many times we just think that we must be the only person who's ever gone through it, experienced it, felt it, and so
Oh,
we do,
yeah.
we kinda put ourselves on an island, right?
Yeah, and that island is filled with shame.
Yes, yes, very much so. That is so true. Oh my goodness. For our HR listeners out there, since you kind of started that HR journey there and then exited it, but I'm just kind of curious, like, how can HR leaders model authenticity even when they're in that more traditional or resistant environments? Because I do think that it is a role that HR can play. I love your role though, because your role separates it out from it being in HR, which HR can have a negative
Yeah,
stigmatism to it. So that's why I like what you're doing and how we need more chief heart officers out
yeah.
there for sure. But for our HR people out there, what are some things that they can do?
It's a really valid question because talk about burnout. Talk
Oh
about
gosh,
the things
yes.
that we as HR professionals don't talk about except to one
Yes.
another because we are servicing and in partnership with the entire, company. So
Yes.
we don't really get our chance
That is
to
so
talk
true.
about it. So I think I would just wanna say that first, and because it's very rare that we get to talk about what we're going through or that, "Whoa, that experience really knocked me off my feet today," or whatever.
Yeah.
"God, I'm burnt out," whatever. I think that authenticity is gonna look very different for each and every person based on where they are, for sure,
Yeah.
and kind of what their threshold is. So, we know in HR, we have to do a lot of compartmentalizing.
Absolutely.
By the way, I don't think that's easy all the time,
Mm-mm.
and I
No.
think there's a price that we pay for that.
Yeah.
So, what can I if we reverse engineer that, we would be able to talk about that even
Yes.
before we get into that type of conversation or before we, know that we have to go let 10 people go in
Right.
succession. If
Yeah.
we had the opportunity not only to share with ourselves, but to share with senior leaders or leadership or
Mhm.
whomever you go to, I think that would go a very long way because I do think we are expected to take it.
I agree.
Most of
Yeah,
the back offices.
absolutely.
And wow, without that back office, nothing gets done.
No, so true.
So that's so, that's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah,
hard. It's hard, but we have to find some kind of bridge to people that care or will listen. And so we can say this is really hard, or guess what? My dog was sick all morning and I don't know
yeah,
if I can do this exit. Like I don't know if I can do this term right now. I'm bereft, whatever. Uh,
yes.
we rarely do that.
That is so true. Yeah, that is yeah, I do think it is one of those areas, that, is very difficult, especially and to your point just on back office in general, I remember telling my payroll teams, you know, sales, can't do their jobs without us. We don't have jobs without them. So, we both play an important role in each other's worlds,
Yeah.
because one is not can't do what they can't do it without the other,
Yeah.
but we forget that so often, and I do think that HR definitely carries a lot of the brunt because they've got to advise at the senior level, and then they've got to support at the lower level, and somewhere in between all of that. And I think a lot of times HR ends up being the bad guy when they're not the bad guys.
Yeah. So many times we're the messenger.
Yeah,
Many times we're
absolutely.
taking
So
something
true.
from first base to second base, or
Yeah.
but it's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure.
No, it's not. That's one of our guests. She's come on a couple of times. Tisha Deeden. She's a VP of HR, and she said when she's hiring people in HR, she says when people tell her that the reason why they want to go into HR is because they like people, she's like, it's not the reason why you want to go into HR.
Yeah.
So liking people is not a good role for HR if that's your
Yeah.
motivation. So
And
yeah.
and I think I would also say, I don't know what HR practitioner, especially HRBPs, get into it to write up reports all day
Exactly.
and
Absolutely.
just say
That
no.
is so true.
Yeah,
Yeah. No.
that's
Yeah.
the thing.
Very true.
So it's all been they've been painted to be the bad guys. I mean, that's the story.
No, they definitely have. I totally agree with that. Hey, everyone. We're the Her Resources podcast, where women share real stories, real lessons, and the resources that help them succeed. We're always looking for inspiring women, business leaders, creatives, educators, and changemakers who want to share their journey and empower others. If that sounds like you, we'd love to hear your story. Reach out to us at contact@herresourcespodcast.com and let's start the conversation. Claude, what's one practice listeners can start tomorrow to be more authentic?
Oh my god, it's my favorite thing. When you're brushing your teeth in the morning,
Uh huh.
I find that is when we are ourselves. And I'm not
Oh,
saying there's kids around, I'm not saying if you have a
yeah, yeah, yeah,
brush your teeth in the morning and you're probably thinking of nothing or you're thinking of 3 things or whatever, I often say to people, who are you in the morning when you're brushing your teeth? Are you a
yeah.
joyful person? Are you a got nothing in my head person? Are you like, who are you? Because that is who I think in many ways we are without the filters.
Ah, I like that.
So,
Yeah.
what I
I'm gonna
would
think about that in the morning when I'm
when
brushing my teeth
you brush
tomorrow, yeah.
I just think it's something that we can all spend a little bit of time doing. And I would say the other thing, is, um, I try to reach out to, like, 3 random people in the morning.
Oh,
Random.
nice.
Sometimes I go through
Yeah,
my phone book, I'm like, "Hey, T," or sometimes I go on Slack, and I just say,
yeah.
"Hey, thinking about you," or, "Hey, let's catch up soon," or, "Hope you're well."
I love
That
that.
fills me. That fills me. I don't
Yeah.
know if that fills everyone, but I enjoy doing that.
No, I think that's nice. Well, and it's also you might have just made somebody's day,
Well, yeah,
and that you could change the whole trajectory of their morning by just that simple reach out to say, "Hey, I was thinking about you. Just wanted to wish you a great day today."
that's
So I
it,
like
yeah.
that.
People
Yeah.
remember how we made them feel.
So, so true. What is one myth about authenticity that you want to bust?
Um, well, I would definitely say it's not one size fits all, and it's not always clean. It's messy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
I like that.
We're messy. We're
We
humans.
are. People are messy. Yes.
You
Not
know,
enough grace in the world for sure.
not enough
So,
grace in the world, and like I'm gonna get it wrong sometimes,
yes,
and you are too, and
100%.
you are too, and like, where is the grace? Where is the humility for some of that? Um,
Yeah.
so
No.
that's what I would say. It's not gonna be a crystal vase.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's true. And you can have a bad day too, right? You're gonna stub your toe
Kinds of stuff happen.
and
Yeah,
yeah,
don't drink enough water.
absolutely.
So that's that's a myth I would like to bust right there.
I like that. That's a good one for sure. What is next for you and your work? I mean, you wrote this book. What are you going to do? I mean, I know you still have your big job that you have today, but what are you going to, what's next?
Well, it's 5 weeks old today. It's been in the world for 5 weeks.
That is
Um,
amazing. How
yeah,
does it feel in a way? I'm just curious. Like, that's a pretty big accomplishment. How did you feel?
lighter,
Yeah. Oh,
happier,
okay. Okay.
happier.
Yeah.
I didn't write it for me. I wrote it for us, and
I love it.
I don't wanna keep it. Um,
Yeah.
I feel great about that. I'm doing, a lot of speaking, not necessarily a book
Sure.
tour, but companies that buy in bulk, they get X amount of time with me. So,
Oh,
like,
nice.
a
Okay. Yeah.
couple of different companies in San Francisco bought bulk books, and so they had me at a keynote, they had me at a dinner, they had me at a this coming, Thursday and Friday. And that I really like doing because then I can share, I can listen,
Yeah.
I can, try to reframe things for people. Um, and then I really, really want to figure out what is the right, whether or not it's train the trainer or
Okay.
curriculum. I'm not
Yeah.
to be a Harvard professor, um, but some of these things, well, we don't teach. Put it that way.
Yeah, no, we don't. You're absolutely right. We
We
don't.
don't teach, and so getting this into high school would be great. Like,
Oh,
get
yeah.
junior high school, that'd be even better, but, the fun thing about the title is it's be yourself. Done.
Yes. Yeah.
Work, at school, on a playground, whatever.
Yes.
So, but ultimately, I'm talking about just be yourself.
I like it.
Comfortable
No.
comfortable with
Yeah.
yeah. So, that's what I'm thinking. Some curriculums, train the trainer,
I
just
love that.
speaking to more and more companies and
Yeah.
doing what I love to do within the halls of Vayner.
Absolutely. No, I think it's fantastic. Well, what I love about what you said is that you're not out there teaching HR people. What you're doing is you're teaching leaders because that's where it starts, right? I mean, I think what you have been able to be a part of and created and at Vayner is incredible. And thank goodness for someone like Gary who saw that and felt that way about you and gave you that opportunity because that's where it starts, right? It
Yeah.
really is at that leadership level, and then how does it work its way down? And
Yep.
so, hats off to him for recognizing what is such an amazing trait, character, who you are, being yourself. I mean, that's hats off to him for sure.
Thank you. Yeah,
So.
I tell you, he's the greatest mentor.
No, that is fantastic. We all need those. Well, Claude, I want to thank you so much for joining us today on the podcast. Your wisdom, your heart, and just your reminder that authenticity is not just allowed, it's necessary, is a gift to all of us. It's just such a good reminder. And if today's conversation inspired you, moved you, or challenged you, then I encourage you to pick up Claude's book or get it on Audible because you can listen to it as well. Be yourself at work. And what's great is, like I said, there are some really simple, easy to do exercises. And if you get the Audible book, you really enjoy it because Claude actually reads it, which I really appreciate when it comes from the author. It just makes it more real. And so thank you for that. But you deserve to show up fully and lead fully. And in every space you walk into, be yourself. So for more conversations like this, make sure you subscribe, share this episode with a friend who needs a reminder to trust her voice and connect with us on social. We'll put the links in the show notes for how you can get in touch with Claude, and we'll make sure that you get a link to where you can get her book as well. But Claude, thank you so very much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yes. Thanks, everyone. You've been listening to the Her Resources podcast, where women's voices, leadership, and growth take center stage. As your host, I'm here to remind you that the journey isn't always easy, but it is always worth it. Every step you take to build confidence, create impact, or use your voice is part of a much bigger story. It's the one that inspires others to do the same. If this episode spoke to you, I'd love it if you subscribed, left a review, or shared it with another woman who's ready to step into her power. And as always, thank you for being a part of this community. Together, we're not just changing conversations, we're changing the future.